So there's this show, also manga, called Rent a Girlfriend.
Oh, we're just hopping into it like that.
Yeah, we're hopping into it right now. So again, this show is manga called Rent a Girlfriend. Arguably, it's not that good of a love story. It's kind of like okay. It's kind of weird. And I'll go into the details.
The concept seems funny, though.
The concept seems funny, yeah. And so recently, he just delivered, I believe it was the last chapter or one of the major last chapters. And essentially, there's this guy called Kazuya. I know you haven't seen it, so I'm trying to explain it.
Main character?
Yeah, of course. Spoilers alert. There's a guy called Kazuya. And then there's the other main character, which is called Chizuru. She's like the female love interest here. And ultimately what happened is this guy was kind of hailed as like the simp of like the anime community. Like this guy, there's just so much stuff I could talk about. But let's just say he did so many things.
This is worse than like a Subaru Sanji.
This is worse than us combined, anything that you can imagine that you ever do.
Don't group me in there, but all right.
Well, regardless, again, for those of you that have read it or watched it, you understand this guy he's a mega simp. His whole thing is just basically he's head over heels with this girl who's a rent-a-girlfriend. He rents her out because he wanted to kind of stop being lonely, and he falls in love with this girl. Okay. So what happens, right? He develops some interest towards her. It's like a drama show, so things happen with her.
Sorry. So it's the same girl the whole time?
Yes. Well, no, there's other girls too, but like it's mainly just her. Okay. She's like the main focus, and so he helps her out, does things with her or whatever, helps her out in her, day-to-day life. And then after, by the way, 300 chapters, the author who's notorious for cucking the community, right? Making it to where it's damn near impossible for him to even get together with this girl. The last chapter came out. I believe it's the last chapter. And what do you think happened?
Is it a good outcome or a bad outcome?
What do you think?
Judging by how I saw it trending, I would assume not favorable.
Basically, this is what she said. They're not the exact words. She said,
she as in
this
the
girl
author
to
or
him,
the girl?
After all this time, right? She says, I have feelings for you. I may very well be in love with you.
But
after 300 chapters. But I can't be with you. Now, let me explain though, right? Let me explain. Her rationale was she's an actress. She's got a lot going for her. She has to stride for, and she's not ready to say yes to him. Obviously, for those of you that are probably wondering, oh, he just got rejected, whatever. No, you don't understand the scale in which the depths of hell this man has climbed.
So the shit's over.
I believe so. I think we're done. Like I think we're cooked. All right, so like let me give you context, right? For those of you that haven't seen it or you want to see it or whatever, obviously spoilers. And you're probably wondering, okay, she denied him. Real life type shit, right? But the reason people are so aggravated is because throughout the entire series, the author, he loves cucking. For whatever reason, he makes it so apparent that this girl likes this man. Like she is in love with him, right? But the issue really stands in the fact that how much he has done to support her. Like
You say how much he has done?
Yes, bro. He not only supported her rent-a-girlfriend career, he also supported her acting career. No, I'll tell you what he's done. Some guy did the numbers on this. He spent over $250,000 on this woman. Right?
Like American dollars.
Translated American dollars. $250,000, probably a little more than that. And so like why is this like an issue, right? Yeah, he's a simp, whatever. People didn't like him for a long time. People have now turned the tables on her because, for instance, right? Let's just look at all the things he's done. Her grandma was dying, and basically he went ahead and was like, he promised her grandma like he would help her in like her life or whatever. And her whole thing was that she wants to become an actress. What does he do?
Funds her acting career.
Before the grandma passes away, he literally says, I'm gonna make a film. You're gonna be the star actress, and I'm gonna show it to your grandma before she dies. His dying wish was to support her, and and obviously the grandmother made that wish for him. And this whole time, the grandmother's thinking to herself that they're dating. That was the whole charade, is that they're not dating.
Understandable, yeah.
Basically, they're not dating, but he's just helping her, basically. And so they do the whole thing. The grandma passes away. She's in tears. She's so thankful, right, to him in that scene. And you could just tell, these are so many signs that you could tell that she likes this guy, right?
Yeah.
And you're probably wondering,
I'm getting upset thinking about it.
That's what I'm saying.
So wait, I was going to say something.
Yeah.
So you said her reasoning was because she was pursuing her own shit?
Yeah, she believes her acting career will get in the way.
Even though he's been like the facilitator. Basically. Okay.
And so not only did he fund her acting dream, right? Because he funded her acting dream by literally investing money into the dating service that pays her. And so he funded that.
Sounds like a familiar situation. Someone,
and then he funds on top of that. He starts funding like again the movie, which wasn't cheap. He figures that out, puts all his hard work into it. This guy's spending his dad's money. Like he's literally spending it, and then he loses out on his money. Then he has to create funding for the movie. Then the movie. It was crazy. The grandma didn't even get to see the movie. She was literally dead. Yeah. She died before she could see. She could just hear it. And so it's like...
What do you mean she could just hear it?
Like she was on her deathbed. She wasn't... I don't think she had died at that moment, but she was in the process of passing away.
Do they ever like hug, kiss?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll get into that. Okay. So then he produced the movie for her, whatever. He took on her debt and like helped her with stress, all this shit to help her put her in a better position. Now, take note though, in this film, there's other love interests too, right? So... They're kind of young. I don't know if they're underage. I don't know. I have no idea. Actually, some of them look underage to me. I think one of them is. There's other love interests too. So he has other options, and the creator throws the love interest at him, and then he's showing through Chizuru's perspective that she's jealous, envious sometimes, while being single still, not actually accepting him, and. The whole time, too, remember, people didn't like this guy because he wasn't taking the initiative. He was simping from a distance, right? And he was just doing all this shit to help her without even, like, asking her out. And so that he had other options, too, but still stuck with this girl. Again, this is probably the author's fault here. And then, remember, too, on the other end, on the other side of things, she also had another love interest come in, right? Really? So she had a separate love interest who was like a model, a more attractive guy. And there was literally a scene where he's like, I'm going to ask her out. He asked her out and then she says no. And then he asks, is it because of him? And then I don't remember the exact panel, but it was like, she said something, her remark was insinuating that or implied that Kazuya, might be her love interest. Okay. So it's like, okay, fine. You're like hinting at it, but no one's making a move on each other for God knows how long. There have been intimate moments too between them where it's like they would be in a fucking hotel by themselves together, like spending the night. They would go on like a mini vacation together, one-on-one.
Situationship.
That's what I'm saying. There are times where they did like the whole anime trope of her falling down. He fell on top of her. Okay. They're looking into each other's eyes. Like it's like all these things, right? Contributing to the fact that they also kissed each other. The funny part is, imagine him where he expressed himself so much to her, right? So like he respected her boundaries. That's a big thing. He was very distant with her sometimes. He would defend her against other people. He'd say all this stupid shit, bro. And she would do the same, right? Like when they were, well, for instance, they weren't dating at the time. They were pretending to be dating for the sake of like, I forgot what the reason was, but it's like they had the fake being dating in front of their friends, or in front of his friends. Yeah. Like his ex, he went to the bathroom during the dinner. His ex was also at the dinner, started talking shit about Kazuya, and then she just straight up defends him. And it's like you see this like pattern over the course of 300 chapters, clearly showing that this girl likes him. Yeah. He has sacrificed time, money, like I said, $250,000 on this woman, not only on her services, but supporting her, all that jazz, right? After everything that happened, she says to him, she admits that that I have feelings for you, quote, I'm in love with you, and then throws the fucking ring right back at his face. And then she says, oh, but I can't be with you because of my acting career, because I think I'm taking on a lot of stuff right now. After 300 chapters, that's like 300 chapters in the manga is like, I don't know how many days. And so in the end, what do you think his response was?
I really anger. I don't know. I really couldn't.
No, he had a smile on his face. He was like, no worries.
Friends we made along the way.
So imagine being that guy. I just want to get I don't want to go into too much detail because you haven't seen it. But of course you didn't care about it.
I feel like I've seen it though.
Maybe in real life.
To a degree.
Maybe in real life.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this one.
The point is that after all this time, he was hated. Like people didn't like him because he was a simp.
The community, like
the community didn't like him because he was a simp. He wasn't taking the initiative and like asking her out and like trying to get an answer out of her and all this stuff. And then people were siding with Chizuru. After all this time, it's flipped. It's almost like you gave such a shallow response because it's kind of shallow. It doesn't make sense for you to say, my acting career.
Especially after all that time.
With this guy. And you also admit that you love this guy. You like this guy. You kissed this guy and you wanted to kiss him. Yeah. And then after all he's done, which again, this isn't a situation where you're feeding a gold digger. Like she was in love. She was already interested in him. It was implied through the earlier manga chapters and the earlier seasons in the show that she liked him. She evidently liked him. And yet we get to the end. This is what I'm saying. The author, people hate the author for this. It's like, why did you end it like that? Like, when you know people were getting aggravated throughout this entire journey because they wouldn't fess up to each other, and then you ended like this.
Yeah, it's like I get maybe wanting to be different and like have a different ending than your typical romance, but I don't know. It just sounds like after all that buildup, you kind of have to like just give the reader what they want and just like give it that closure.
Yeah, man. And
because it's like, especially him sitting there like smiling about it. I guess that's maturity, but it's like
not really though.
That might be insanity.
It might
because it's like, I don't know, 250,000 and all that time invested. The woman that you basically made her acting career is telling you this shit. It just
that's like the biggest slap.
That's insane.
The person that imagine like you supported her in all this, and then that's the very reason she's saying no to you is like acting's gonna take off and
tell
shit.
Me about it. Next topic.
No, but I mean, I wanted to talk about it, man, because it really blew up a lot of people's minds. Like, I got aggravated because personally, I think the first season, because I saw the first season, then I started reading the manga, and I knew what I was getting myself into. I thought to myself, like, oh, it's gonna be like a fun show, entertaining, whatever. The first season was pretty good, but then when I started reading the manga, I was like, shit just keeps repeating itself. Like, as in, it seems like they get closer and then something happens, then he has to reset himself, then he continues to support her in different ways. So supporting her because of the grandmother, supporting her acting career by funding her, now also supplying her with an acting job so she can promote herself and show it off to her grandma. Like, I understand it's also fiction. It's not like, it's not real life, right? But it's like the way they pitched it doesn't make sense either. Like, it got me, because there's multiple love interests, and he chose to go after this one as opposed to the other ones that were giving him the time of day. Like the ones that actually wanted to be with him.
Yeah, but sometimes when you have your eyes set on that one, it's just want her. You'll do anything.
The crazy part is too, is like, and again,
it's that delusion.
And again, this might bring back memories, but there's a lot of chapters where she cried for him, leaned on him, like clearly flustered in his presence. You good, bro?
No, go on. I'm just saying, doesn't matter.
Yeah, like, and also like, remember, like the emotional climax of like the making the movie and stuff like that. She viewed him more as like more than a friend at that point. Right? It became very, very obvious, and it's the way they build this all up to just diminish it completely by saying we can't proceed forward like this. Like this just can't happen. But like, what were the reasons? Like, what could you possibly think of? And her rationale doesn't make sense either.
At least if that's how it ends, like I just don't understand how, especially for the main character, that like does his character any justice. I don't know. Going back to the smiling thing, that just doesn't make sense to me.
I also remember too, man.
I feel like it just like tarnishes both of their characters to a degree, at least based off of what you're telling me, because I haven't read
No. It's everyone's talking about it, bro. I mean, but also the thing is like the fans, like, again, if I'm iffy about even being a fan of the manga to begin with, but like the fans themselves, like how they view things now is like Kazuyo gave time, money, his own mental health and well-being for literally nothing in return, which is whatever. That happens sometimes. We all go on that date or two that we spend money. We're more than happy to spend money, and the date doesn't work out. Whatever.
Yeah, no, for real.
Over 300 chapters, and there's no closure. There's no closure. There's no like, and it's a bit selfish too, because how he pitches Chizuru in this end scene, it's like, basically, it makes her seem like she drained him emotionally and drained him of his time, only to toss him aside when his goals were met. Sorry, when her goals were met.
So are you sure that it ended? Like that was the final chapter?
I think so.
Yeah, people are saying it's the end. Yeah, I guess. Damn. That's tragic.
But her whole thing is like, she said, she has the ring, and then she says to him, I still can't put it on yet, even though I love you and I have feelings for you. It goes from like a love story that's a bit weird in general and like funky, but very apparent that they're going to end up together to result in just basically the ultimate betrayal of all time. Yeah,
because it's one thing to not be ready, but still feel those feelings. But for it to just cut off like that with no closure, that's insane to me.
Dude, and you have to remember too, it's like the way she delivered the rejection was crazy. She said...
So she launched the shit at him.
No, bro. She was like... I won't even lie to you. The way it happened was fucking diabolical. Like, I have feelings for you. I love you. Like, I basically have love for you. And then she bows. I think she says, she says, but I still can't like accept this or whatever. And then she bows.
But maybe her saying that is all this nigga wanted. So then that's why he's sitting there geeking about it. Like, maybe he doesn't even care about the outcome. He just wanted her to say, like...
He does. I think he was tearing up, like, when he was smiling. It could have been a fake smile. So like, people were complaining about the way she even delivered the rejection was crazy. But it just doesn't add up. It just makes her seem so selfish and just so cold. Like, she got what she wanted, and she still hasn't made up her mind. And it's like... It's one thing to say that, though, but at the same time, it's like, what's the idea behind it? It's because your acting career's taking off, you feel like you're going to be busy, but that doesn't make sense because you could still build a relationship at that point, but he was with you before that. So, like, why not, if you love him, why can't you commit to him at that very moment? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, the whole community became outraged, man.
I'm sure.
I mean, these love mangas, like... I don't really read a whole bunch of romance mangas.
You love your romance.
I love my slice of life. Sometimes it's romance though. Sometimes it's because it's a romance.
I know there's a difference.
But like this is just I don't know how people can sit here and like be like this is people were in love with this manga, bro. Like I'm not even lying.
I bet that ruined Avro's year.
It probably did.
Yeah, that's
so like I don't know, man. I think it's just a massive slap to the face. It just felt like this was like it felt like it was like a fantasy ending. Like there was no way that this could have happened the way it did. But I mean, at the end of the day, the community has made themselves very apparent in this, their position. They think it's stupid. It's dumb how it ended. I can't really even sit here and be like, that's even normal too. Like, that doesn't even seem like a normal reaction in real life. Like, to me...
Well, if a reaction like that were to happen in real life, like, she would have had to have been, like, thinking about that. Like, that's not just something you know, like, that's something that, like, you build up to, like, mentally, I feel like, on her end. So, I mean, I don't know. So after that ending, what would you give the series as a whole then?
Dude, like it's
like what was it? And then the ending happened.
It was mid at best. Like it wasn't even like that good. But it's like when you're invested already, 100 chapters in, you're like, I might as well see this through. Now the 100 chapters.
So you'd say it was roughly like a 6 before that.
Yeah, bro, that ending like fucking killed that bitch. Like that's at least that's a 6. 7 maybe
6, 7.
My thing too is like his other options he had available to him, the other women, he definitely could have gone for someone else, and they were all perfectly fine. I don't know about age though, so I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But
well, is he not a high schooler?
No, he's a college student.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, it was just that was crazy to me. I just wanted to address that for the time being. But also something else that just happened or that was announced. Obviously, we know that July next month is going to be the last chapter of Vinland Saga.
I did see
coming to an end, bro. I don't know, man.
I mean, one of the greatest pieces of fiction of all time.
I did want to talk about. I did want to talk about like
before we get into that because this is a very small thing. I don't know if you saw this, but I saw this yesterday. But I didn't know that Black Lagoon was still ongoing.
Yeah,
like the manga.
I'm reading it, dude.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Did you see that the creators like coming back for real? Because like I guess they were going through
they've been on hiatus for a minute.
They were going through like a depression or something like that with their father. So then I saw that it's coming back next month from hiatus, like supposedly indefinitely till it finishes.
That would be crazy. Wait, he's coming back?
Yeah, because from what I saw, he was going through like a depression because like he was prioritizing his work more than his dad, and then his dad passed away and stuff like that. So then he was very all over the place. But then I think he's like making a proper comeback now.
Did you see Black Lagoon?
I watched some of it. I really liked just like the look of the characters. Like it seemed like a very old school, a bit more like explicit type of show. And I've been wanting to get into it. I'm only like 4 episodes deep, and I just stopped watching it a while ago. But I do want to finish it.
Well, let's talk about it. But I won't spoil it. But I'll talk about like Revi,
she's like a really cool
main
character.
I think you
don't see a cool female main character like that.
I'm glad you brought that up, bro. So. It's very rare for me. Like when I'm watching a show, there could be some good female characters. Like for instance, what was her name? Is it Emma, the one from Promised Neverland?
Yeah, she's great.
And she's great, and she was a kid too. Like there's really good female characters, but obviously I don't really see enough of them. And this,
at least with the shonen demographic.
Yeah, with the shonen demographic. Yeah. And it's mainly boys or teenagers or like young men. But then when I look at Black Lagoon, dude, Black Lagoon is like one of my. I have it up there with like Berserk because it's such a well written story, right?
It just seems very fun and like they're not afraid of
the challenge during
Yeah, and just
push
making certain jokes and just getting like dirty with some shit and like gritty. Like it just seems very solid in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously it follows the story of like Rock, he's like the business guy. I think you saw him already because you saw the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, the white dude.
Yeah, the white dude, the Rock guy. He comes in, he joins like the Black Lagoon company, right? And then he meets Revy, and he kind of gets drawn into like their world. The Rock is kind of like the idea of like his whole character is like he's a white collar worker. He's nice. He's simple. He lived life normally, following rules, all this stuff, and then he gets pulled into the Black Lagoon company and he meets Revy, and Revy completely challenges the ideals and like shits on him for everything he's done and calls him names.
They have a cool relationship from what I've seen so far. They have a really she would basically go after him and like just ridicule him and be like, you'll never understand what it feels like to be us or whatever. And then that's when their relationship starts to like shift a bit because he's spending more time with them. He starts to think more like a criminal while still being like half decent of a man. Like in terms of like, you could tell it's like a push and pull of his personality where he's starting to become more like these guys, but he's still like a nice guy though. If that makes sense. At least from what you've read and seen, do you feel like her character also kind of swaps in like the opposite way?
Yeah. So the dynamic between Revy and Rock is very interesting. So like with Revy, she's the opposite, right? So she's been shaped by trauma, poverty, violence. She was like sexually assaulted when she was a kid by cops. There's very much this tension between her and Rock, because Rock kind of symbolizes this innocence and she symbolizes like the dark shit. Yeah, like the dark, disgusted stuff. And so it's a bit weird because she hates him, hates how he exists, and then he questions her ideals as to like what it is to be like an evil person when you can be a good person. And they get into like a fight, and then there was like a defining moment when they got into a fist fight. I think you saw that episode. It's like the first 4 episodes.
I think I did see that.
Yeah, they get into like a fist fight, and then they start punching each other out, and then that's when they kind of start to become less and less angry with each other and just accept each other a bit more.
Seems like they develop some sort of
there's a dynamic,
mutual understanding or respect for each other.
Yes, and it kind of you'll see it once you keep watching, but then you see their relationship kind of evolve over time too. She starts to feel a certain type of way about him after a while, because to her he's still this innocent guy. But you'll see once you get there that there's a lot of instances where he's slowly getting pulled into her world, and she doesn't like it. Like she's actually trying to not have him get so pulled into the Black Lagoon company, because it's like, this is like, she's in her view, it's like, this is my life. This is how I live. I don't want you to feel like you have to do this.
Tarnish him.
Exactly. Tarnish him in a way. And then obviously there's a bit of, I don't want to say there's romance, but there's definitely some indication that she starts to gain something.
Romantic tension.
Yeah, romantic tension between them here. Even ignoring their relationship, the action itself is so good, bro. Like, it's just straight, they live in like a shitty ass place, straight gangsters running it, mafia running it, just shootouts all the time. It's very explicit too. Like, you'll have nuns just cursing out motherfuckers and taking out M16s like it's nothing.
Aren't one of them, maybe this is a maid, but isn't there like a girl named Roberta?
Yes, like Roberta.
In a maid costume or nun or whatever.
She's a bit deeper in the story though.
Yeah.
I think she was like an OVA arc. So she was... Her thing was super crazy. She was trying to defend like I forgot what the context of it is. I won't go into it, but basically she gets like she's like a maid, but she's like a super assassin. She was hired by the family to protect the son, and then she goes absolutely crazy. And it's, I don't know, like the action's sick, the gunplay's amazing. Revy as a character, again, it goes back to what you said. I don't really like certain types of like female characters, but she's like easily one of the best ones I've seen. The whole style of Black Lagoon is like a John Wick meets Tarantino anime flair type of thing. Like, it's very much like guns blazing, dual wield and shit, just nonstop action. And like, they're not afraid to kill anybody. Like, they'll kill like kids. Like, they don't even like you know, like it gets like crazy over there.
Are you talking about from the main cast or just people in general?
The whole, I won't go into detail about it, but the whole everything. It's just like it opens up. And frankly, I started reading the manga because, he's just, the anime didn't continue. And then I started reading the manga, and the manga was also really good. But then the issue with the manga was like the hiatus part. So there were so many pauses in between chapters.
That'd be dope to see the anime come back.
Yeah, man. Like, now that you've mentioned it, if he's coming back, and obviously I'm happy he became better mentally. Hopefully he can deliver something like and really make this like span out over the course of its lifetime, because I think it has so much potential. We haven't even reached the peak of it yet.
Really?
No, we really haven't. This shit is like, I feel like they can keep this story going for a fat minute, and it'll end probably the best way possible. Which in my head, I feel like female characters, like I can't really think of many really. Emma was a good one. What other female character would you say is even good? Like obviously besides Revy, she's really great.
From anime as like a main lead, girl from Claymore is cool.
Like, but you get what I'm saying? Like
Akame,
yes.
She was good.
Akame, also, yeah, she's pretty good too. That's about it. Like, who else are you thinking about?
Because everyone else I'm seeing
Everyone
right
else, I
now
feel like a side
is like a main side.
Yeah, main side. Like if I look at someone like Cowboy Bebop, for instance, right? What was her name? Faye to me is a really great main side character. But maybe she's a main
like,
character. I don't know.
Mikasa or Hinata,
Yeah,
stuff
Mikasa,
like that.
Hinata,
Yeah.
those are great characters, but it's just those guys, they're not like leading the show. I feel like you're right. Most of the shonen arcs really are kind of carried by like male leads.
Jolene, she's really good for JoJo's.
Oh, you're right. From JoJo's.
She's up there.
Yes.
She's really good.
Yeah, there's definitely some good female anime characters. I just think that they gotta explore them more. I like the edgy stuff too. Like actually, there's one manga I'm reading. It's like a anime MMA manga, and it's only like attractive
MMA?
women. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You talked about this.
So like these super attractive women were like, let's just start a fucking MMA like a series, and they just. Basically, it's just anime women like fighting each other, like making each other like die, basically on the pavement.
They should have like a real deal MMA manga. I think that would be
cool. That would be cool.
really
But I think
dope.
they have that. They're working on stuff like that. There's always new mangas coming out, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were to release something like that. But honestly, yeah, dude. Like I really hope they bring back Black Lagoon. It's definitely a must watch if you guys haven't seen it already. But going back to what was it, Vinland? Vinland.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about Vinland. I want to talk about Vinland a little bit because I feel like we spoke about it, but we weren't really able to really appreciate this shit for what it was, bro.
I was ready to talk about Vinland.
Like that's what I'm saying. So like I want to kind of, I mean, it's coming to an end, and obviously they're making a new season. They have to be. There's no way they're not. I didn't want to talk about like certain things from the show, like season 1. Again, people have mixed opinions about first season, second season. I think they're both great, top tier.
Both great in their own way. I think season 2's better, but go on.
Okay, well we can get into that.
Just a little bit.
Season 1 though, it's like, for those of you that haven't seen it, obviously spoilers here. Season 1 of Vinland was such a good like setting the stage moment for season 2. It was literally just like, imagine. I feel like a lot of guys could relate to him. Obviously not by specifically what he went through, but like similar stuff. It's like he lost his father, saw him pass away. Then he was filled with anger as a child to get revenge on Askeladd. Ends up joining Askeladd for his own selfish reasons to kill him. And then it's like Thorfinn slowly losing his like innocence over the course of like God knows how many episodes. He goes from this nice kid filled with anger, trying to kill his boss, and now killing basically other Vikings or other bad people.
And developing like looks to be like a father-son relationship with Askeladd at the same time. Where it's like you could clearly tell he's conflicted on whether or not like he should stab him in the neck or just like chill. Like, and you see him having that dilemma multiple times through season 1 where he's just like, he just doesn't know how to respond to certain things because he's just so mentally like all over the place in terms of how he feels about him.
He became like a twisted mentor to Thorfinn.
Yeah.
Sort of. Like it was a bit weird because it's like
It was fucking beautiful. It's
Thorfinn viewed him as like his ultimate goal. And and again, there's just so many parallels to like just living your life here on the planet Earth. Like there's so many parallels, but it's like his ultimate goal was to kill this man. He learned from this man. This man taught him how to survive, made him into like a bit more mentally disabled sort of, because he kind of became, he didn't become evil, but he really kind of pulled himself into like the depths of like evil, really, to like commit murder as if it was nothing. It's like it got to the point where you would see Thorfinn would have no facial expression.
Yeah, he was just a killing machine.
Yeah, and the way he would move, like it was almost as if he didn't even like, it was like a robotic. It was like he had no, there's no feelings, nothing. He didn't miss his mom. He didn't miss his sisters, his family. He didn't miss any of his friends. He
completely forgot about.
He just completely forgot all that. He was just
set on his.
Everything was just set on the fact that he had to be this guy.
He had to overcome
and kill this man.
Yeah.
To me, Askeladd's a weird kind of like, I tiptoe with him because he is a villain for sure. But then I feel like a part of me wanted to like him
in his respective world, I guess. But like in terms of a character, he's like up there, man. He is really. He is weird because on an individual level, like he almost seems like a good guy, and like he has morals to a degree. But then it's like with his crew and like how they go about things, it's just not.
It's awful.
Like they like slaughter niggas, so it's like
you remember that one? There was that one scene that they went to. It was like a winter biome. Remember? They had to survive, and then they gathered up all the citizens in this one village, and they were like, yeah, like we don't have enough food to all survive. He's like, you're right, and then he killed all of them, kids, fat fathers, mothers, all of them, and it was like, how do you even do that? Like it's like that's what I'm saying. Those moments make me not want to like Askeladd.
But then it's like at the same time, that's just like how they are. Like that's just the Viking culture.
The Viking
like,
way.
Like it's not excusable, but like that's just how they are.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree with you. Like I assume that's how they are, and frankly, I think Askeladd though it wasn't even just him. It was like all these other characters there. It felt like a weird dynamic of we could all be family together. Like it had like a familial sense of
that's
but they weren't though. They would kill each other. They betrayed each other in a heartbeat.
But I think the thing with Askeladd too, is like he knew how twisted he was. Like comparing him to like Thorfinn's
really
dad, for example. Like he knew that Thorfinn's dad was like a true warrior in a sense, but Askeladd was so deep in his own path that like he kind of had to maneuver the way he would, or else like I don't think he would survive really if he didn't operate how he operated.
My thing is too, man, he was well respected, but I never understood why he let Thorfinn live. Like maybe a part of him, maybe he wanted to be a good guy there. He promised his dad he wouldn't kill him. Remember? Yeah.
Then he, as you said, then he promised the dad he wouldn't.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like it's those moments where I'm like, he kept his promise and didn't kill him, but then he would do all these atrocities on the side.
Because it's.
You see what I'm saying?
Because,
like it's a constant.
Because the words like hold weight to them. Like I feel like that's something that's very important with just everyone in that show. Like if you say something like that, like you keep your word, because that's just the way of like the Viking or some shit.
Maybe, but he really could have.
He knew Thor's would like beat the fuck out of him. I think that's why he was willing to. I don't know.
To let the son live.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember because that was so long ago. Because wasn't Thor's like kind of like just terrorizing them until he got ambushed by the arrows?
Yeah, no, Thor was killing all of them. He was killing all of them, and then he got ambushed by the arrows, and he was just bleeding out.
So how did they end up making that negotiation?
But I think maybe he made a deal with him. I don't know, but it wasn't like a crazy deal. I think at the end it was just I don't know. But Thorfinn's dad was so disgustingly like strong. Like it was more revealed in the second season that he was a guy that was like, if there was a mission that had to get done, he was the one to always do it. Like he would get it done no matter what. And I mean, we'll definitely get into season 2 in a second. But again, so they had that, right? Like they had Askeladd, that kind of like, you have like a hate-love relationship with him.
Too.
Thorkel, which bro, his fight against Thorfinn was so sick too, bro. Like I won't even lie. Here's what I'm saying: you could hate on second season, but the first season, the action was banging, bro. Thorfinn coming in with dual wield like blades, looking like an assassin. Like it was crazy what he was doing to chop people up, man. He would like infiltrate enemy lines as if it was nothing. Yeah, and then Askeladd would still piece him like it was nothing. That's the crazy part too. Like Askeladd would like encourage him to fucking fight him, and then he would lose every time. Yeah. And Askeladd could have killed him a lot of those times, but he still doesn't want to kill him because maybe he sees some use in him, right?
I was gonna say, I think he saw use in him and saw his potential.
Exactly. And I remember, then you have Prince. What was his name? Canute.
Such a good character.
Prince Canute was introduced, right? Dude, his evolution was crazy, right? Canute in the first season. Again, it's the same thing as Thorfinn, but now as like a teenager, right? Where Canute was like a teenager
very parallel characters because
exactly
like the opposite shit kind of happened to them.
Exactly. And it kind of resembles real life. Some people age quicker because they've been through more. So like you had Thorfinn that clearly has been through so much in his life. He's the same age as Canute, and it almost seems like he's just on a different level than him mentally in age.
Because Canute was like, he came from obviously like a more pampered background.
Yeah, like so royalty, he was very cultured.
He was very dainty and just like
nervous. Yeah, all that stuff. And so like for Canute here, he became like this soft, timid boy, and then he, like towards the end, man, he just becomes like this cold, like Giga Chad chin. Like he just became this cold
didn't
guy.
That transformation happen season 2, or did that happen?
Season 1. At the end of season 1, you could tell his facial expression changed. Because you didn't really see much of him in season 2 until like later. the team felt weird. Askeladd's trying to transport him to the king, right? And then he has to protect Canute the whole time. Like Thorfinn's trying to kill him. The dynamics between all these characters was just so interesting. But the politics that they're playing was also super interesting from back then. And then you get to the finale. Season 1 finale was one of the best. I put that up there with like Code Geass season 1 finale, like level type of stuff. Like
Code Geass season 1 was good too.
That shit was good,
that was
bro.
Definitely hit. Yeah,
it's up there, bro. Because then you see, I forgot what was the rationale. It was like he was a threat to Wales, and he also was gonna put like Canute in danger or end up killing Canute, the king. And so then Askeladd, like within like it's what I'm saying. He's so intelligent, it's crazy. Within like seconds, he makes up his mind. He says, "All right, fuck it." He kills the king. And it's all because he kills the king, defends himself to keep himself alive against other guards, because now he's trying to wait till Canute steps up and kills him, so that Canute takes the throne so he can protect Wales. And then it's like this entire time too, right?
So poetic, bro.
So poetic. And then this entire time he's just sitting there, and then like Thorfinn comes in late, and then you see like Askeladd's face, like it's almost as if like when he looked at Thorfinn, it was almost like how do I explain it? Like it's almost as if he felt like sorry that he couldn't give him the fight to kill him.
Yeah.
And then he was like, that's what it looked like. It just seemed like he felt bad for not letting him, giving him the opportunity to kill him.
I don't remember if this was season 2 or 1, but didn't like he dropped the dagger and then there was like, maybe I'm thinking of a season 2 scene, but I remember Thorfinn just like crashing and he was like distraught about it because he was like begging for him to stay alive or something.
Oh yeah. So he got sliced down, and then Thorfinn, I'm pretty sure went to him and was begging for him to like live and shit, keep him alive.
He was like, "You can't die yet.
You can't." Like that. That's what's so crazy about it. Is like, why are you sitting here saying that you cannot die when that's all you want him to do was die?
And then it's like at the same time that may have like reawoken trauma from his dad.
And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like it's like this shit is too good. And remember too, believe it or not, he really was like a father figure. No matter how twisted that sounds, Askeladd was really a father figure. I mean, abusive, mentally horrible as a guy, but like he ultimately pretty much was the only one Thorfinn could look up to in a twisted way.
And rely on to some degree.
Some level of degree. And then it's like you see Thorfinn like in tears just sitting here angry, depressed, and like trying to figure out what's happening and why is he dying. But it's like, would you not be happy at the fact that he's dead? Because he killed your father and that was your whole goal. And then it goes down to like, it gets deeper. It's like, wait, his whole purpose was to kill him. Ever since he was a little boy, seeing him strike down his dad. And now he's at this point where he's crying. Maybe because like a part of him is like, oh, I'm sad that he's dead, but I'm sad I didn't do it.
Yeah, because that's literally like what he was built off of as an individual. So I think that would be like considered like an ego death type of situation, right?
Maybe it could have been something like that. Yeah.
Because it's like we see him at the beginning of next season. He's just completely like turned off. Like the nigga is literally just like a zombie walking.
Yeah. And
granted, he's a slave, but like still just completely numb.
And even with season 1, how it ended, like he got mad and pretty sure didn't he? Oh yeah, he garnered up some courage and strength to like throw or try to kill Canute, and he sliced him. He left a mark on his cheek.
Yeah.
And then Canute was like, Canute. Again, this show is so good. Any other guy who you laid your hands on royalty, nah, you're dead. This guy's like, keep him alive, let him go. And he gave him a shot. And then Canute just like stands there like with this like his chin out, a whole new man now. It's disgusting, bro. And then like, again, that was season 1, bro. We're not even season 2 yet. Like that's season 1. And then we get to season 2, right? The whole, again, like you said, Thorfinn kind of becomes a slave here. Why do you think that is? Like, because he doesn't have to be a slave. Maybe it's symbolic because he could really just kill everyone and leave. But like, why? Like, what do you think he was going through at that point? Like, what do you think happened actually? He got sold off as a slave, or he just wanted to become a slave?
I mean, I think he just had nowhere else to go, and he had no means of like being somebody in the world at that moment in time. So that was kind of his only option to like get any source of food or income or whatever. Like, I think he genuinely had nowhere else to go because the rest of the crew was like dead. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's dead.
Except for
yes, there was his home, and yes, there was his
that was it. Yeah.
grandpa too. but like he was so far away, like he literally
and disconnected from all that. He didn't even know what that was at this point because he was just so disconnected. I think you know what. So people complain about season 2 of Vinland, and they called it a farming simulator, Minecraft server. But I mean, the purpose literally was. It was literally that. Like, it had to be that. Because it was, again, the introduction was he became a slave. And it kind of, it's because of the fact that he was so depressed. He was so anxious. Didn't know what, he was lost. Essentially, that's what that is, right? Which you can make a lot of parallels to human life, right? Like, as we live now, sometimes you're lost during that time.
That's why I feel like the season was so good.
It was so good because I think a lot of people, especially if you're an older adult, you can kind of relate to him. Not obviously what the fuck he's been through, but you could relate to the feelings that he's going through as well. He's lost. He's angry with himself, but like, yet confused.
It's like he had a direction and a goal that he was set on, and a way of living that he was set on that was completely disrupted, that was completely out of his control.
Completely out of his control.
Which does happen. And then it's like, now it's like you either sink or swim. And at the beginning of the season, he was clearly sinking until he picks himself back up.
Until he picks himself back up again.
Surround himself, well, not by choice, but like he starts getting surrounded by like good people such as Einar.
It's like some other side characters here and there.
Some other side characters who like kind of steered him in the right direction and let him appreciate the small things in life. Like seeing him and Einar, like when they were farming their crops the first time and like the nigga was smiling, I was like one of the best moments of the season.
Yeah, it was one of the best moments, dude.
Like just seeing him appreciate that.
The act of something.
And just the act of like life.
Because what moment has he had of like happiness? He hasn't had anything since he was a kid. And so it's like, imagine, like in his situation, true, remember, the arc also touched on his nightmares. He was having nightmares of like regrets of the people that he's killed, right? Like he was having those dreams of like climbing a mountain of like corpses, and Askeladd was at the top.
Well, no, that was when he got knocked out, when they were getting...
Really?
When the people ruined the wheat farm.
Oh, you're right.
And then they pulled up on them, and then they were going to handle business, and then he got knocked out. And then that's when he saw like that vision of Askeladd, which was like that. I feel like that was like the turning point of the season where like it just progressively was getting better and better.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah. So he was distressed, he was lost, and then something crazy happened, and he had that nightmare or whatever. But it wasn't even like a nightmare, because remember, it was like, did Askeladd tell him in his this is what I'm saying. This is so crazy.
Well, this wasn't even like a nightmare. This was just like dead ass him seeing the afterlife. Yeah. Or like him in Valhalla or wherever that was.
And then Askeladd was like, well, did Askeladd say like, you don't belong here? Like, and like Askeladd was saying something to encourage him. And then the scene picks up as he's in this hellhole, all this death surrounding him. And then he starts climbing these mountain of corpses. And then he reaches to try to get out.
Yeah, and then they were like grabbing onto him, and then he started crying, and then just apologizing, and then you see Askeladd like jump down. You see Askeladd jump down, and he was like slicing and dicing them up, and he was like motivating him to like get out.
Get out of here.
And then he was like clawing his way out and screaming. Oh my gosh, I'm about to cry.
That's what I said. It was just so good. It was so emotional, but it was just the way they developed these characters. Again, bro, it's like they really appeal to a human emotion here. Like it's like you're in the depths of whatever you're going through. You're struggling in life. You're lost. You're in so much pain, suffering. You have regrets, and then you have this guy who they're depicting all these feelings from, and like just seeing him climb out of that like abyss.
Yeah,
that was and the music too,
and even Einar too, because like
Einar as well. Yeah.
Einar, when he was introduced, he realistically like should have hated Thorfinn, I think, because I don't remember if Thorfinn like killed all of his people or like the people Thorfinn was affiliated with like killed all his people. And it's just like seeing him develop to like just understand they come from different backgrounds, and that they both are in the action of like maturing and putting aside differences and trying to come together to produce something greater, to where stuff from their past like doesn't happen again like that. It was just, that shit was,
dude.
That's why I'm to me that's why I'm saying like I just feel like emotionally season 2 is miles better than season 1. Like, it just doesn't.
I think they're both the same. I think they're on par with each other. I don't think the one season's better than the other. I think they're both. I think the first season was amazing.
I think action wise and just like.
Action-wise, season 1's better.
Action-wise, season 1 is definitely better, for sure. But even the action in season 2, like when the nigga was fighting with no daggers, but he was like assuming the stance.
Oh my
against
God,
Snake, and he
dude,
was
that was so hard, bro.
Gosh,
No. Remember,
tough.
okay, keep in mind though, you have to see a season for what it is, right, and how they're structured. Season 1 was a setup. Was a setup series.
Yeah,
it was a setup season.
It was the prologue. Yeah,
so it was like that served its purpose.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the best seasons ever. This second season, people just don't want to accept the fact that like they look at a piece of artwork or a show or something, and like the way that they set up the first season and the second season, you could tell it was made in that order, in that way for a reason. The second season was literally him making up for the sins he committed in the first season, recovering from his trauma, trying to become better. And he does that in the second season. So the season 2 accomplishes its job. So it's like, I won't say they're both, the second one's better than the first one, just because I like action more. I mean, if you want to base it on action, yes, for sure. But you also have to see a season for what it is. So it's like, look at Death Note. I'm not going to sit here and be like, Death Note is a mid show because it has no action. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's like, see it for what it is.
One of the best. Yeah,
exactly. So and then if you walk into that with any show, you'll be a lot more satisfied watching a show. That's why Vinland Saga season 2 and season 1, in my opinion, feels like they're both roughly the same rating. Because season 2, if anything, I could argue was more emotional in the first season. Because season 1, you don't really get that much emotion until the end. And so the beginning and the end.
Yeah, and it's just like a crazy twist, and you're like, damn, like Askeladd's actually like gone because when I was watching season 1, I'm looking at Askeladd like this nigga's gonna be in the story. Like, if he does die, he's gonna be dead in the last season.
Oh, he's cooked.
Like, yeah, that he's gonna like be with us throughout the whole story. So seeing him go out like that was crazy. But season 2, man, it's just that special stuff because for me, all the shows that I've watched, like not even trying to glaze the shit, out of all the shows that I watched, I have never been so emotionally impacted by a scene when they were standing at Arnhide's grave and then the sun is hitting them just right and then the wind's picking up and the niggas are just talking about like how they're going to like build a future together, and then he's like, brother, and then like they like dap up or whatever, and like you see Einar, like you see, and they also like showed the emotion. And they animated the emotion of the characters so well because you see Einar like so locked into the shit that like he's like gritting his teeth together, and he's like, you can't tell if he wants to cry or if he's like getting hyped up. Like it was so good.
And Einar went through some development too.
I know
he was literally somewhat the opposite of Thorfinn. Because Thorfinn was like, he was dead mentally, but even then he was very like peaceful. He was very like non-confrontational towards the end, because that was his whole policy. I will never kill another man again in my life.
Yeah, Einar was very optimistic at the beginning.
Einar was more optimistic, but also he was not afraid to like lay down punches on people.
Yeah.
And then you know how Thorfinn's hard? I think he was like, there was one time they were gonna fight, and then Thorfinn was like he just took the beating, and then he just dealt with it. Like
we're talking about.
Like there was one. I remember there was a scene like it was like they not Einar versus Thorfinn. I'm saying they were gonna get punished. And then, and then Thorfinn just accepted
it was like episode 3 when they were slicing him. Talking about?
I don't know, but like no.
And they cut off his ear.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not too sure. Is it? Well, yeah. I just remember like Einar, like they were both in trouble.
Well, yeah, he took the punches at the end when he said that.
That was with Knut. That was with Knut.
But when he took like a beating, quote unquote, that was at the beginning when Einar was like, I forgot what happened. I think they were just like, the other farmers were like touring around with them and they were like, oh, we're going to kill the slaves. So then they brought him to like the courtyard. Then Einar tackled one of them. And then he was like, Thorfinn, go. And then Thorfinn just didn't go. And then he was, then the guy with the ponytail started like slicing him all over and then cut off his ear. And then Snake pulled up and then.
He didn't move. Like,
he was.
No, I remember he didn't move. That's why I was so like this kid just sat there.
He was like, he said some shit like, "Why should I be afraid of death?" Blah 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 blah.
And
like
Einar was also angry at him too, because Einar was like saying like, "Why are you not fighting? Like, why are you not?" And Einar also doesn't understand what he's been through yet, right? And then you had the dynamic between Einar and then the wife of like the slave master, like one of the women of the slave master,
Arnhide, yeah,
dude. I've never hated a character more in my life, dude.
You talking about Kettle?
Slave Master? Yeah, Slave Master, yeah. Is that his name, Kettle?
Yeah, that was.
Dude, he is the worst, bro.
He was cool at first. I was like,
no, he was normal.
Nice. But
then like with women, he has like a weird jealousy complex, and he feels like they're all gonna leave him. So when he started sleeping with this girl, what was her name? I forgot.
Arnhide.
When he starts sleeping with Arnhide, Like he leaves, comes back, then he's like beating her because he thinks like, oh, like don't do this, like make sure you don't leave me or whatever. Like it was like,
Well, didn't he only beat her once?
no, I think he beat her twice.
Oh, I thought he just beat her at the end when she like.
Well, yeah,
died.
at the end, yeah. When at the end, well, the end part was crazy, right? Because then she was legit saying, because she wanted to escape as well, and like,
And she was pregnant at the time too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can tell Aina wanted to help her as well get out, and I don't know, maybe was developing some feelings towards her.
Oh, he liked it from the get go.
Yeah, and so it's like with her though, she, like even at the end where she's like, literally telling him, "Hey, like, I'm pregnant with your child." He continues to beat her, and then the baby ends up dead, and then she ends up dead.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All you can, it's like, I don't understand, dude. Like, I've never hated a character so much in my life.
Yeah, no, and it just, again, it's like the way they animated him and just animated that season of the show and showed how, like, expressive the characters were, like, on their face, just made you, like, dislike him even more.
Yeah, it just makes you dislike him, dude. And then it's, like, Einer was such a cool character to see, kind of have his perspective on life be challenged a little bit by Thorfinn.
Everyone's perspective, like at least the main dudes, like everyone's
shifted a little bit.
Everyone shifted in some way because you see it with Snake, you see it with
Snake as well.
Paddle, which was like the blind slave who like made his way up in the ranks, who wasn't a slave anymore. You saw his like stance on things switch a little bit. You saw the other retainers, like everyone had some sort of perspective switch because of Thorfinn and Einer primarily, which even, and then again at the end, like we see it with Canute mainly when they have their whole talk at the sea.
Well, yeah,
Canute was good.
Canute was the opposite of Thorfinn at that point. It was Canute was like, I will take everything by power and by force, and then Thorfinn's idea was like he seeks everything through peace rather than power, and he also seeks forgiveness as well. And that last scene, that was easily the hardest scene in my opinion. I got emotional in the last scene where
with Canute you're talking about?
Yeah, Canute, and because like Thorfinn's trying to get to Canute, and then he's just getting beat up by all these, and it's like it pissed me off because
it was just one dude.
No, I thought he was getting ganged up on.
It was the big dude. I think his name was Drot or something like that.
I thought they were like switching people out to go beat his ass.
No, he just said if he like hits him 100 times, then he could go see Canute, because he obviously didn't believe that was like Canute's security at one point. So he said, okay, if you're still standing after 100, like you could,
dude,
you'll be deemed worthy, and then I'll let you go. Or
and like a part of me was pissed off because it's like, I know he could just slice these dudes. He could just kill these dudes like nothing.
He could put that nigga in a submission lock and get him.
It's like
get him
kill
out of
him,
there.
bro.
But it's like just the principle that he's like standing on.
Yeah,
now.
like he refuses to waver anymore.
It was just seeing him get distracted for that one moment. So then he got snuck and actually got knocked down, and then the nigga just got up and said like, "Man, that shit was pussy. Like, keep going." Oh my gosh, no.
Dude, no, he was such a good character, man. And then at the end, Canute, like seeing him again. I mean, because Canute pulled back his forces, and I forget what he said to him, but like
they came to some sort of
agreement
together, which
compromise.
I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something to where Canute would pull back his forces, and I think he like dwindled down his forces too, because I think Canute's thing is like, while Thorfinn wanted a peaceful land for everyone, I think he wanted like a land for the Vikings specifically, like those types of people or something like that. I don't remember exactly what they agreed upon, but it was enough to make Canute change his outlook
as opposed
on
to just like shedding more blood, because they were attacking each other both sides. The owners there were attacking them, but they were fighting each other at that point.
And it was just so crazy to see Thorfinn deadass beat this nigga like with his lips, and he was just like, he had Canute talking in his mind like, "Man, you're such a beautiful dude." Like he said something like that, and he was like, "It's so crazy how like you could go from one end of the spectrum to the other, and then he just started dying laughing." That
was hilarious to see Canute, because he looked so serious, but you could tell like a part of him maybe still isn't taking himself that seriously, which I think that's a good thing to view in life. Like I feel like, at least for me, I think I already told you, like I've been trying to tell myself to like not take myself as seriously when it comes to things. Just makes it easier to approach things, honestly. Like for us to try new things and not feel like we have so much weight on our shoulders.
Yeah.
So I think that exemplified a lot of good meaning. That whole show, like, really, like, I feel like, in my opinion, there's like probably 3 deep meanings with it, right? Like the cost of revenge, right?
There's a lot of different meanings with it.
Yeah, but like the key ones I got out of it was like the cost of revenge, right? And we've all been through shit before. I mean, a nasty breakup, a real nasty one. You know what I'm saying? Like people lying to you about certain things, misleading you about certain things, you know, promises that were never fulfilled.
Yeah.
Someone selling you a pipe dream.
Yeah.
So like the cost of revenge though, it's like at the time, at least when I go through shit, back then when I was younger, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get my get back or whatever. I'm gonna get my revenge. But it's like the show really does a good job like showing that like, look how empty this is for him. Look how empty it is to even get revenge on somebody. It's like there's nothing. It's just self-destructive in the pursuit of it. That's all it really is. Like look how you had a young boy who was completely shaped by revenge turn out in the end. And most dudes end up in that position. I'm just gonna say in real life, and they won't even get out of it.
Yeah.
Because mentally, it's so crazy to pull yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And for the guy to help him get out of it, being the murderer of his father shows how twisted life is, but it's possible.
Yeah, and it's like in order to get out of that hole, you gotta throw like everything that you once believed. Like you just gotta throw it out and completely like rebrand yourself.
Rebrand, yeah.
Yeah, just like start from the ground up, basically.
And what you wanted to show us too is like obviously like a scar, you can't heal a scar. Like it's gonna heal by itself, but there's always gonna be a mark left behind. You can't get rid of that. So it just like revenge itself just replaces pain with more pain. So imagine like imagine in real life you're chasing a dream, and in his man it was to kill Askeladd, and then in the end he thinks to himself, I've lived for nothing. Like that was the whole purpose of my life. That resembles a lot of people nowadays. A lot of people have big dreams now, and they like chase after it so hard sometimes, and then they just stop, and then they feel like they can't do it, and then in their minds it's like, oh, it's all over. Like I had one big mess up. I've messed up once, or this relationship's not. I'm not able to mend this relationship, or I'm not able to grow.
And even for people who chase their dreams and like succeed in doing so, it's like that's their only focus. So then when they get there, they're like, now what?
Now what?
Like you have to, you know, you have to appreciate life for what it is. And that's kind of just like I don't know what word I'm looking for, but that's like not the main driving force of your life.
You know? Maybe not have it be a goal. That's what I found to be so interesting about Thorfinn, which is why I think a lot of people should watch the show, especially if you're a young guy. Dude, his idea of living, he had this one sole goal and purpose. He reshaped his ideology. Now it's like I will never commit like an atrocity of murder on anybody. And it's like I was like, and in his mind, it's like, let me just build something. So it's like no longer let me.
Yeah,
like,
he was seeing the beauties in life.
The beauty in life, like farming, like you mentioned, he's smiling. Like it's like, why is that? Because maybe he's starting to realize that there's other things to live for except for this grand goal of his, and instead he lives with a moral duty in his in his mind and that like he would never hurt another.
Contributing to the growth of the world,
and all that shit.
People that he deems closest to him, and stuff like that, rather than just acting somewhat selfishly for his one goal that's not going to do anyone good at the end of the day. That's
what I'm saying. And then, like, that's what I'm saying. That's like the main thing was like the cost of revenge. Like, what does that really give you at the end of the day? And then there's the idea of like redemption and rebirth. Like I'm also the advocate of this too, but like season 2 really served as like, you could have the worst setup in life. You could have made the worst decisions. You could have been the worst person, like the worst off person at one point in your life, but there's still hope for you to get out of hell and to rebuild yourself, to redeem yourself, or even have a rebirth moment. Like people are gonna look at Thorfinn, right, as either a murderer or a guy who wants to reframe himself, and it's like there's only gonna be 2 versions of him there at that point. And it's like and he wants to be that guy that now he's gonna, you know, change who he is now, live by good morality in his terms. And it's like, I think anyone, I'm a huge believer of forgiveness.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was just dealt a very tough hand. Now, granted, obviously, this, like, how shit works in that world compared to this world is a little bit different. But that's not to say people in this world can't have the same sort of mindset switch as Thorfinn did if they were to commit such atrocities. But obviously, it's like the consequences are a bit different.
Yeah, they're a bit different because society, I mean, the thing is, too, is like, if you murder people like that, there are consequences too. You took lives. And I'm not saying you can't be in jail for the next 80 years of your life and try to become better in your own head, like not be as evil as you were. But some people can't be saved. We know that. Some people just don't want to be saved. But it's like for him, he chose to he chose to endure hatred and pain as opposed to spreading it. That's like a big difference now with him. So I mean, overall, dude, like I think you have this like, internal external conflict with the character. Season 2 which just went into really deep thought about how he was, what he was experiencing, what most humans experience when they're lost, and then how he got out of it. And it's like, how can you not sit here and appreciate that unless you just really are tuning in for just a surface level fighting style anime?
If that's the case, watch Solo Leveling.
Yeah, if that's the case, watch Solo Leveling. I think people hate on the show at this point because they just don't want to sit here and really take it for what it is.
Yeah, and then
really people will look at this,
digest it, and think about it.
And I guarantee people are gonna look at this and be like, "Oh, we're thinking too much into it." No, bro.
It's literally not the case.
It's literally, if you don't see it, it's because you probably haven't gone through something yet.
That, and it's like everyone's interpretation of art is the word subjective, where it's like opinionated.
Yeah, subjective.
Yeah, it's like everyone, especially when it comes to art and anime and any form of media, it's like everyone has a different perspective on it, and it's gonna impact people in different ways. So it's just like I just don't know why niggas get mad at like people like me or people like you saying like how impactful this season was on our lives and on our mental when they don't see it the same. I just don't get that.
It goes back to what I said, man. I mean, some people just haven't lived it. Like that's a big thing. You have a lot of young people that just haven't lived it. They haven't been put in a situation where they have to like even relate to anything that Thorfinn's going through. And the other thing is too, it's people obviously hate to hate. It's whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's just how the internet is.
Just how the internet is. But it's like with someone like Thorfinn, it's just not. Again, we spoke about this in the last pod. We're living in an era where it's like people need high stimulus, high action, all this stuff. Like people don't get enjoyment out of watching something that's like season 2 of Vinland Saga. Like they just don't get it. Like they would rather have something where there's action almost every episode, every other episode. And it's like, but if you were to sit there and have delayed gratification, right, you can really sit through a season 2 of Vinland Saga and be like appreciative for what it is. And frankly, again,
the payoff is so,
it's crazy good.
I think that's why it was so like emotional for that moment I was talking about, because it was like, that was like, because I was tuning into that weekly. That was like week after week, like 23, however many months, that like damn near 8 months, just like back to back, week after week, just like watching this build. And then like eventually just seeing that pay off. It was so good. And it's just like another thing about the show that's so good too. It's like when season 3 comes out, you could look at season 1, 2, and 3, and they're going to be like completely different shows, which is like what makes it so good, I feel like. Like the difference between each of the seasons.
That's what I'm saying, man. I feel like at the end, I mean, all I'm saying is if you guys haven't seen it, again, I want to speak about it because it's coming to an end. And like, obviously, I'm hoping it does another season. If it doesn't, that's going to be sad. But it's coming to an end. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. And again, if you're not watching it, then read the manga, I guess. But it's definitely a must watch. I think it's a show that just... It holds a lot of meaning to it, and if you're open-minded about it, I feel like you can gain some perspective from it, for sure.
I think it's the perfect anime for like a 20-year-old dude end up like mid-20s.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I agree with you to some extent, yes.
Obviously, anyone could enjoy it, male or female, but I feel like that target demographic is very, could take a lot from it. Okay, but I feel like that could, that conversation could lead into something you wanted to talk about, being like the makings of a good main character.
Yes, no, I definitely want to talk about that because I feel like I was reading a lot of the comments. A lot of the content that we're posting, we've been getting really great feedback from you guys, and we've been really seeing like you guys' opinions on things. A lot of people agree with us about this last anime awards ceremony. A lot of people thought it was robbery, bro. Was so leveling and like even that Demon Slayer taking the longest ongoing anime, and it's like it got me thinking. It's like. Going back to what was the best main character, people chose Solo Leveling, right? So it's like in your eyes, because we gotta categorize this stuff. What is the making of a good main character to you? Like, what do you think is required to be a good main character to like carry a story? Because it's like
for me personally,
like what do you think it should be?
It's
based on.
I feel like it doesn't always have to be this way, but like for me personally, I feel like the character has to instill or be aligned with like a value that I have or like or motivate me in some way. Like for example, like a really good main character for me, even though he's like super simple and very like one-dimensional is Asta from Black Clover, because it's like the surpass your limits thing. Like from the first time I saw that, it was very impactful for me, and it just like aligned, I guess, with like how I wanted to see things. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you see him stick to that and constantly build on that surpass your limits thing, and then he's just always doing it. You know, it doesn't mean he's necessarily that deep, but I think things like that are what make a character good. Just like life lessons that you could learn from them. Obviously, there's a bunch that we learn from, like a Thorfinn, for example. That's why I feel like he's my favorite. Or like even a Luffy, or like
really,
you know. But I'd say that's like a big factor for me.
You know, I definitely want to put certain criteria, and then we can probably talk about each one. To me, that one thing is a strong motivation and purpose, right? Like that's like, let's go into that. So the reason why I get soul leveling winning, but again, after we go through this entire list, I feel like we'll be more, I think people will understand a bit better as to why we don't think it should have won. But the first thing is like strong motivation and purpose, right? Is like your deep personal thought about what you want. Characters like, for instance, whether it's revenge like Thorfinn, or even like Eren Yeager, like who I think is one of the best main characters. He was fueled by revenge, and then he was fueled by an existential crisis in his head, where all the timelines led to his people being killed, and he had to pick the one that did not lead to that.
Yeah.
So it's like some sort of strong motivating purpose. It literally could be as simple as like making a name for yourself when no one else could believe you, or avenging your father, or like any of those things in a main character, because those things are also exemplified through real life, whether it's everyone doubted me that I can't make this much money and I did that, or everyone doubted me that I couldn't play soccer and now I'm on a soccer league.
Yeah.
It's like everyone doubted me that I can play basketball and now I'm in the NBA. It's like you need to have some level of purpose so that people could aspire, not to necessarily be like you, but aspire to have your same way of thinking, right? That's like the first criteria. I don't know what character you think has, at least in your list, because I think about Eren Yeager and all that stuff, but like in your opinion, strong purpose, I assume, would be high up there, right? Like some sort of motivation for a character to be good.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that. You're asking me like
if you had to pick a character, like it could be Thorfinn if you want, it could be any character, because I'm giving examples so that they understand what I'm trying to get at here.
I feel like Luffy has his purpose from day one. Now, granted, I don't feel like there's anything like specific back in it. Like he kind of just wants to do it, but like he has that purpose.
Yeah, he does have that purpose.
And he has that drive, and he's like gonna do it by any means necessary. Like he kind of just speaks it into existence as the story progresses.
And Luffy, but Luffy's a bit weird though, because they did, obviously, like, not to stay too much on the topic, but with Luffy in particular, his purpose was very much evident in the earlier seasons of the series, and then every so often you'll see him really exemplify like what he's trying to shoot for again. So it's not like they do that every episode, which they can't. It's like it's a massive manga, massive series, but they still touch on his purpose and his motivation every so often, like almost every arc. So it's like, it's just to remind you that, hey, like the goal is still the same: become the Pirate King. So it's like,
because it feels like with him, like his goal is the Pirate King, but then on the side he is also doing
everything else,
like liberating the people. Even if that's, seems like he's almost doing it like unintentionally, just because that's like the type of person he is. I don't know, but
yeah, it goes back to that quote, bro. It's like it's not even the destination. It might not even be the journey. It's the people that you meet along the way. I feel like that he really exemplifies that, because he meets people. He'll never make an enemy out of anybody unless you are a threat.
Yeah,
and so it's like, that's really great. The next thing too is like character development. This is a bit twisted sometimes, right? This is like, in my head, character development for a character is like so for instance, it could be someone really evil become good. So like I'm thinking of, you haven't seen Avatar, have you?
Well, I know Zuko did that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Zuko. He's such a prime example. Zuko became a character where he was so full of rage, wanted to kill.
Zuko became like a really, not soft in like a wuss type of way, but like he became like a very soft character.
Yeah, he became very soft. Yes, because his whole thing was, again, not to go too much into it, but definitely watch Avatar if you haven't seen it. And with Zuko in particular, in the beginning, he's full of hatred because he's trying to win his dad's approval. And this is what I'm saying. Thorfinn and all these others, this all applies to real life, bro. Zuko's trying to win his dad's approval. His dad leaves a scar on his face. He's going after the Avatar because he thinks that once he captures him and shows him to his dad will accept him and then he'll be part of the family again. He does all those things and he still feels unfulfilled. And then he starts to question himself. Then he turns his back on his uncle. And then he hates his uncle for a period. And then he regrets turning his back on his uncle. And then he goes back to like save his uncle, but then his uncle disappears out of nowhere. And then he's just lost. And then his new destiny now, he defies his dad, goes to find Aang and assist the Avatar in fulfilling his destiny. And then, like you said, he becomes like this soft character after all this time. And it's like, that's the type of development that we have to see in somebody, right? And people will be like, oh, well, it's only been 2 seasons of Solo Leveling. Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, that's with any show. You could still see development every season in a show. Like, that's because it's also over the span of many manga chapters.
You literally see it in Frieren.
That's what I'm saying. You see it in Frieren, but you see it in a whole bunch of other shows that do it in 12 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's like, that to me is a big deal.
Obviously, Solo Leveling is a different type of show where like it's clear the main objective and the main focus isn't on the building of his character.
It's just
in a like,
extremely meaningful
sense.
way.
Like it's just a building. It's just a building in the physical sense.
Well, I'm saying how it is, man. Like it's not meaningful the way he is. Like it's not. Again, it's not supposed to be that way. Like
which is fine.
All goes back to what we're saying, dude. Like you have to look at a show and accept it for what it is. But Solo Leveling doesn't have that as a key component, and it's okay not to have that because you could tell it's mainly he's weak as hell. Gets busted out of nowhere
and just continues
to get more and more busted.
Because it's like, even with the mom thing, I was thinking that would be like an end game type of like accomplishment, or that something catastrophic would happen and stop that, like saving his mom thing from happening. But then even with that happening and then his purpose almost being fulfilled, but then he kind of just like gets stronger just because like,
because there's going to be a new threat coming soon.
Yeah.
And then even when his mom...
I'm already this strong, I might as well just like...
That's not, I mean, might as well go crazy.
Yeah.
And then even after the mom got like cured, I'm sitting here like, it didn't even feel like there was... It didn't even feel like an accomplishment. It felt like a side quest.
Yeah.
It really didn't feel like an accomplishment at all. That's what I'm saying.
Because it was so quick.
It's so quick.
I just thought like, maybe he would give her the shit and it would be like, plot twist, it's poison. Or something. Like, I don't know, just something like crazy.
The thing is too, it's also not unexpected. Like, it's like when you, like, I fully expected him to save his mom that first season. I think it was the second season that happened.
Second season, yeah.
But, like, in my head, I was like, oh, he's definitely going to save his mom. Like, there's no question no doubt in my mind. And it's like, that leads me to my next point. So, like, the third thing I think a main character has to have is some sort of moral conflict or flaw. And so, an example of that would be Light Yagami, right? Mm-hmm. He's a genius, quote unquote, surface level, charismatic. But then his biggest flaw is obviously like, he's low-key evil, but it's like he's got too much of a big-ass head.
Yeah, very arrogant.
He's very cocky, very arrogant. And then it's actually what leads to his demise at the end. So it's like, this is what I'm saying, like flaws in characters as well, again, it's a really big deal. So if I were to look at someone like Solo Leveling, what's his flaw? What's his flaw besides him just being super cocky? And you would think that's like the flaw, but then he wins every time.
Flawless ass nigga.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like that's his flaw, right? Is that he's super cocky.
That's why he's the best main character, because he's flawless.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like his whole thing is that he's just flawless. He has no, like, what's even the conflict morally that he has to like live with? He's a monster.
I mean, I guess the fact that he's killing like humans, because that's like something that's frowned upon in that world. So like remember when he did it for the first time and he's like had to do it on a couple other occasions, I think. So, I mean, that's
but then he like skated past it like it was nothing.
Because what happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon.
That's what I'm saying. So, to him, he's unfazed by any of that.
So he's like now numb to it a little bit.
And he'll be like, again, they've had 2 seasons to do this. There's plenty of time to develop the dude. But it's like, where's the actual flaw in him? Like, the only thing I can think of is that he's super cocky, maybe in over his head sometimes. But every time he's been that way, he's won. You get what I'm saying?
I mean,
like he goes in a dungeon wearing a backpack because his cocky ass is just like, let me just stroll with this other dungeon group and you guys are in danger.
Well,
you guys need help.
Well,
let me take care of. Hey, let me heal you, and then I'll take care of the whole fight. It seems
like sometimes that cockiness was thrown out the window when he really got like his back pushed against the wall, like against when he was fighting Baron, I think, not Beru, but like the Demon King, the Demon Monarch.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like he was being pushed a little bit, so he had to lock in and like take the situation a bit more serious.
He's like, let me take this seriously.
So then he gave him an uppercut of doom, but then it's like right after that, after he has his moment, he's back to his calm, cool.
You know what that scene felt like to me? I don't know if you've seen Dragon Ball. It felt like, I don't know if you've seen Piccolo. He'll like fight someone, and then like the fight's already started, and he'll be like, "Time to get serious," and takes off his fucking armor.
I've seen
and then
that,
it's like 1,000,000 pounds. It's like that's how I feel with Soul Leveling, man. It's like there's just no character flaws.
It seems like with him, he dead ass like when he wants to win the fight, he just locks in, and then
he just locks in. It's like, I just used up 1,000,000 mana.
Like,
you still have 2 million left.
Like, this guy's kind of strong. Let me like kill him quick.
Yeah, let me kill him quick. Yeah. Like, shut your ass. That's what I was saying. Like, I get why people, again, we'll talk about the whole winning the main character award, but whatever. Next thing is also personality. A unique personality, and also like, like unique, just like a unique personality is a big deal. So like Light Yagami, I think he's super cool. I think he's like emulates that very intelligent guy who's just full of himself.
Even the Lelouch.
Yeah, I'm about to say Lelouch. The Lelouch as well is also, I find him to be a very great character. Very like the way that these characters are structured, they're just interesting to watch.
They have different layers.
They have different layers of stuff, not just solely one little thing that they're basing it off of. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of characters you can think about too. Like, obviously, I can't say the same for every show I've seen. Like, I like Luffy as a character. Like, I think he has a very unique personality. I like Zoro as a character, but I
think Luffy has a very unique personality, but it's just that's like how he is 90% of the time, and then when he gets serious, he gets serious. Like, he doesn't have. Like, we see many different faces of Lelouch. We see him, like, happy and, like, fake being happy.
Yeah, fake
and, like,
being
sad
happy.
And fake being sad.
And then, like, he's, like...
Or, like, and then, like, him, like, plotting and, like, an evil version of him in, like, a morally just... Like, we see many different
kind of views on his personality. And I would relate into have you seen Breaking Bad?
No.
I would relate into Walter White. Because, literally, Walter White, like... He always had an ego, but to me, it's not Luffy. To me, Lelouch, like as a character early on, he would see what in his eyes, he was right about a lot of things, but he still was flawed. Like he still believed that he made mistakes here and there. He made horrible mistakes actually. But then it's like in weird moments where, for instance, the season 1 finale, again, spoilers for Code Geass, when Suzaku literally is pointing a gun to his head. Lelouch is sitting here feeling betrayed. And then it's like, Suzaku's telling him, well, you literally killed so many people. You killed like your own half-sister. And it's like, this is like, that's what I was saying. And it's like, Lelouch has the audacity to be like, what I'm doing is right. This is necessary for us to get out of this. It's like, dude, that...
Like, it's like you also, as you're watching, they do a great job of like, having you understand Lelouch's side too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but with Soul Leveling, I'm going back to Soul Leveling because they won the best character apparently. Besides just staying quiet and one-shotting, bro, like what else is he really doing?
Nonchalant.
He's so nonchalant. Like, and it's okay. Like, I get it. That's how the show is. But again, it doesn't resonate with everybody. Not that it has to, but like that's a big part about a series being as good as it is. Plus, also I heard it does fall off. So that's what I heard from the manhwa. And then after that, I would say like the visual design. You have to look cool sometimes. I admit it. Like I'm not gonna sit here and lie.
Yeah, you kind of
have to look cool, right? You got
or like just a unique looking character.
Yeah, like Gojo, Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. Like you have to be like somewhat different, like the way they had like like Guts. In my opinion, Guts is a very plain looking dude, but yet also cool at the same time.
But he has very distinctive
features.
Yeah.
And it's like again, it has to be a visually impressive guy, and so that's why I understand why Soul Loving would win that aspect for sure. He's a cool guy. I get that. But then also too is like the backstory. So they have to have some sort of backstory, right? So for instance, let's look at Naruto, right? Naruto Uzumaki. He was an outcast, disliked by many for no reason sometimes.
You think he had like a number one backstory?
Well, I'm saying like it's like a good. I'm saying like this. I'm not saying number one backstory. I'm saying like
okay, I
like
got you,
as like an example.
Yeah.
He was an outcast, had no family, no friends. I think he had a good backstory because he was an outcast his whole life. He didn't have a family. Right,
yeah, but he was
all he wanted to do was become the Hokage, and so it's like it wasn't that. It doesn't have to be that complex, but it's like the backstory resonates with people though, because some people feel like they're alone, like especially in the earlier years in their life, they feel like they're an outcast. People don't have friends. Family sometimes aren't really the best for you.
His shit's kind of flawed though because he had like LeBron genetics of his world.
He did have LeBron.
So
genetics.
Like he had that shit from the get go, but
exactly.
But obviously, as you're starting the show. You're not.
Yeah, you're not really there
thinking
yet.
about
you're
that.
Not
and,
thinking about that.
Yeah.
So it's like you could argue he's kind of still OP, but even then it's like he's still
definitely OP.
Yeah, but even then he's still an outcast. Like he's still getting bullied. He's an outcast. He's looked down upon. That's how it is.
Yeah.
And so like that's a backstory I could kind of go with, right? Or you could look at the backstory of I'm trying to think of who else.
Thorfinn.
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking about Thorfinn. Yeah, like Thorfinn's backstory as well. It's like, and you got to have some backstory that you come from in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And not that you have to have it, but it adds more fuel.
Aaron too.
Yeah, Aaron too. And you know what it is though?
Even though he made his backstory, but
people are gonna be like, "Oh, they don't have to have a backstory to make it a good show." No,
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be crazy, but it's just like.
But it helps the viewer relate to the character.
It shows you where they come from in the foundation and why they maybe think the way they do about certain things. Even like Kaneki as well, like his backstory with what was the girl's name, like Rise or Rize or whatever, how he became a ghoul. Like that was, I know that was like technically not backstory, but I feel like it was to a degree compared to his ghoul self. So I mean, I think that was solid.
No, I agree with you. So again, backstory is a big thing. Next thing is consistency, right? That's a big. This is like something that. Oh, let's bring up Rent a Girlfriend. We just spoke about it. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I mean, never mind. Actually, Rent a Girlfriend is actually a good example for this. Consistency is basically like the audience can expect unexpected actions from a character, but it still has to coincide with the guy's actual
like morals and
how they frame them in the story. Yeah. So like, look at Chizuru rejecting Kazuya. That's like a wishy-washy thing because you could sit here and be like, that was consistent because there was a cuck situation the entire time, but it was one of those things where we're wrapping up here. There's no way she's gonna say no. Yeah. Right? And then she says, no, I'm not into you. Or I'm into you, but I'm gonna say no anyways. Like that kills an audience. That kills a portion of the audience that they no longer will look at that as a higher rated show. Because you really differentiate. It's like it doesn't even make any sense, but I won't get too much into that. That would be there's like two main characters.
Like say for example, like an inconsistency would be like, say if Luffy was like all right. Like we see him being all right with like one of his crewmates like sacrificing themselves. Like obviously,
yeah, that's flawed.
Yeah, like obviously that's just not.
That doesn't make sense.
He would never let that happen.
No, he literally wouldn't. And
if he's not in the room or on the battlefield and they sacrifice themselves, that's one thing.
That's one thing.
But if he is there, present with them, he would never.
He would never put them in that position.
Yeah.
Not in how he acts and everything. Like he would never put them in that position. Or even like for instance, all right, going back to Kokiyas, Luge. The idea is like he's always 5 steps ahead. But you never know his end game. Like, you never know. And it's apparent in the whole show. Yeah. Because you get to the end of Code Geass, again, spoiler warning, for those who haven't seen it. You get to the end of Code Geass, it has one of the greatest endings of all time that's with a twist. Which, as a viewer, you're watching, you're like, wait, how is this even happening? Oh, wait, what just happened?
I made a video the other day about Code Geass, and I was like, because I was talking about the Yuffie scene where she gunned down everyone.
Oh, that was a good scene.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I was like, I think I have to rewatch this now as like a young adult because I watched this show when I was like 16, so I don't think I was like fully comprehending what was going on. No, I feel like I would appreciate the shit a lot more if I watched it like today.
I try to tell everyone that Code Geass really is. It is literally just. It's a master at so many different elements. Like it literally was a slice of life in my head. It was heavy plot. It was mech. There was comedy, there was some romance, there's a lot of drama. It just had all these different elements.
A lot of different elements, yeah.
I can't see why people. Code Geass is easily my top 5.
It was like a fucking infinity gauntlet.
It was literally an infinity gauntlet. He had all the stones.
Yeah.
And so again, but that's like we can save that for a different conversation. But yeah, it has to be consistent. But it could be surprising. But it has to coincide with the main character's like actual direction in which the author has paved them out to go, right? And then. This next thing I think is like this is like my number one thing is relatability, inspiration, right? If I look at someone like Solo Leveling, the main character, how am I going to relate to this man? Right? It's like he's a machine.
He may inspire you to get more swag or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like because in his essence, one is he didn't even work for his ability, so he was given it. He literally,
from what we know right now. Like maybe it was like
but he didn't work for it.
Yeah, he didn't work for it, but maybe it was just like in him,
which is apparent in the whole season. By the way,
his dad's a monster clearly, so maybe it was like in him. I don't fucking know.
So it's apparent in the season because you have all these S rank heroes that were just given the title because they were born with that natural ability.
Yeah, I guess that's also what the show is.
So maybe he's defying that, but at the same time, not really because he was also given that ability to become.
Yeah, maybe that
S-rank.
ability is just like an S rank attribute in itself, and it's like he's always innately been an S rank, but he's just like very unique. I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. Well, relatability in the sense of I look at Berserk. There's a lot of grit, a lot of pain, a lot of perseverance. Thorfinn, a lot of grit, pain, perseverance, and it's like a lot of those things like you could relate to when you're watching the show and watching the main character.
Yeah, and just seeing the main character.
I can't really relate to when I watch Solo Leveling. I don't really relate to the main character. I just think the fights are really cool. Like I don't really think the character development's amazing in that show, and I feel like you need to have something like it has to be relatable in some way. And like people be like, "You're stupid, bro. It's fiction." Bro, you stupid. Like that's how you keep people engaged.
And I think with all the points that you made, I don't think if a character is lacking in like all those categories, I don't think they would necessarily be a bad character. No, but I think them hitting the mark on most of these is what separates like the goods from the greats.
Exactly.
And I just don't see Sung being a great main character where it stands presently. I feel like for his show, he's like, I guess the perfect main character for his show. But like,
yeah, for what the show is, I get it.
Up against the competition, like
for character development,
the Okaruns, like who clearly had some development, and the Momos and the Firins, like we literally hear Firin having monologues about like how her outlook has switched because she since she like has that longevity to her and that long life,
she looked at life a bit differently,
looked at it a lot differently, but then she was starting to appreciate like how people like Himmel could see the beauty in the small things like the flowers, I think, and stuff like that. And she started to care more for her peers such as Fern and Stark and stuff like that. So I think she was the clear winner for that. But
yeah, like I said, like, and I agree with you. You don't need to have all these attributes. Like, you could actually have more of these attributes in some cases and less in others. You don't have to have all these attributes. But when you have all these attributes to some greater degrees than other characters, that, I think, in turn, makes you a better main character. Because relatability, again, man, it's like people, think personally,
very, very important.
With stories, I'm sorry to say it, but when I say relatability, I don't mean like, again, people could be like, "Oh, it's fiction. You're stupid. How could you relate to Sung? Because he's literally he's one-shotting everything, whatever." It's bro. You don't get what we're trying to say here. Relatability, you could do that through the expression of emotion, and through certain instances. So it's like I can sit here and relate heavily to Thorfinn when he went through all his trauma and everything, even though I haven't lived it. Like I haven't lived what he went through.
You've had your own version of it.
Exactly. My own version is parallel to what he's lived through. So I can understand maybe his emotions to a certain degree. That makes him more of an attractive main character. Makes me feel more invested in the story to see where he goes. Yeah. It's like relatability, that's what really sells a show or a movie, I think, honestly. Because if I look at something like, we just spoke about it, like last pod, we spoke about Iron Man 1. Like when things feel more grounded, more down to earth, not so galactic and all over the place, it just feels a lot more, it feels relatable by default because it's like in your head, it's like, it's not beyond human reach or beyond human possibility.
Yeah. And that's not to say you can't have it because you have it with like Cowboy Bebop, which is clearly
amazing
galactic shit.
Galactic shit too, yeah.
Spaceships or whatever, but it's just like the scale of things.
Yeah. And the relatability comes from the characters.
But again, it's like, even with like a Thanos, like you could understand his perspective on things to a degree too, even though he is a celestial being
and just snaps his fingers and kills anything in sight.
Yeah, so it's all about how it's presented and like how the characters speak to others and how the characters also speak to themselves and like have their inner monoalogues and what they're thinking.
Exactly.
I feel
and
like
it's like
that's
people
very
don't
important.
even realize like that relatability is important, man. You can't just like, that's what really builds your devotedness to want to watch something and stay invested with the character and what the story goes.
With an Aaron too, like people didn't like the fact that he was, when he had that little moment with Armin before his memory was wiped and he was like weeping about shit and he was just very flustered and confused and acting very childlike. People didn't like that, but I think that's a very somewhat relatable thing because the scale at which like everything is and how he is just trying to be like the bearer of all that like weight and pain and suffering, like that would obviously overwhelm someone. So seeing him break down to Armin in that moment, like I feel like is a very human response.
Yeah, and the point is, can you see yourself in that character's position? Not in a fantasy world, in like what he's going through. It's like him crying with Armin thing. I would probably be doing the same thing. Because the way they developed the character,
because he just wants to chill with the boys and like shoot the shit and go get ice cream.
That's what I'm saying. Like so that's what, and again, that leads me to my next point actually, which is like the last point, which is relationships. Like you gotta have like that's just having relationships in shows and movies as the main character is so important because that's literally what human beings are driven off of: social interaction, building relationships. And people, and here's the thing too, and especially in an era where we lack that now, people have less friends now or no friends or at all anymore. They're not dating people as much. It's like relationships are what really it only adds to the character. But when you're someone that's also build relationships, so if for instance you're reading a romance manga and you're reading about this guy and he went through something similar that you went through because you had a past relationship with a girl, it's like, damn, makes you more invested in the story.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with these characters too. It's like Sung doesn't really have, he saved his mom, but like besides that, he just kept doing his own thing.
He doesn't have,
his sister gives him quirky answers, and then after that he just kind of leaves and does his own thing. The guy that works for him now, the kid,
like he's cool.
He's cool. I mean, he was with him a few instances, but yeah, it's like there's not really,
everyone else. No one's really like that intertwined with his life.
And that's okay.
That's not to say you can't have a character who's like
isolated,
moving solo and stuff like that. But again,
that adds to the character development.
But I feel like if you are having that, you have to show the depth to them.
That's a good point.
And with him, it's like there's the isolation and no depth. So then it's just like very bland.
That's a good fucking idea. And actually, better yet, again, bring up Thorfinn. He was isolated for a long time.
Yeah.
And you could argue that, you had one guy that was with him, but not really, because it went into Thorfinn's mind talking about why he's isolated. They didn't really do that with Song. Not that he needs that. Like I said, it's not a show that is designed for that reason, to be hitting all these marks. But it's for these reasons and many more that it should not have won best anime character. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's like, going back to the isolation really quick, obviously she has people, but you could say Fearin to a degree did have that isolation since we've seen many like
years of her just being by herself.
Years of her being by herself, but like her having that dialogue to herself and just like building upon that over time. Because the only dialogue we hear Sung speaking to himself is like what he's gonna name these niggas when he recruits them. Like,
yeah, dude, it's so I mean, like I said, it's just a fun show to watch.
Yeah,
action's
there's
sick.
Nothing wrong with being surface level. Nothing wrong with being fun.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it being.
Agree with the
pick.
That's it.
We don't agree with it winning best anime character. And like, obviously, I won't even go into detail about the best anime. Who cares? But it's like at this point, I think a lot of people feel the same way we do. Our comment section was kind of going all over the place, saying like, "Oh yeah, like they agree that they also thought it was rigged." Some people don't think it was rigged. People were just satisfied with the answers. But all in all, I think that's my list.
I don't think it was rigged, but
I think that's my list. That's my top 9 things that I think characters need to focus on to really attract an audience. And it's like, that's why I don't think it won. I just think that it was a popularity contest for solo leveling, and I think it took on most of the awards for that reason. So I mean, there's not much you could do about it, but that's what I think.
So who would you say is your favorite character, main character?
Again, I think
number 1.
It definitely goes back to Fearin, because I think
not for that, just in general.
Oh, in general?
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, like, it has to be Guts. Like, I fucking love Guts.
I'm feeling you're gonna say that, yeah.
Guts from Berserk. It's like he's like the closest thing to where it's like, I don't know. I'm a fan of like really gritty stuff. Because it really like pushes you to like dig really deep about certain things. Berserk is just one of those things where it's like, it always reminds me that life is not your friend. The world is always against you, and you have to keep fighting no matter what. And you'll get your get back eventually. But like Berserk really is just like, how much can you really persevere? How much could you really go through and persevere in life? Because it's like in that show, the whole concept is literally just like, things going right. Sorry. Oh, you got lucky with this. Sorry. Is that your new friend? Sorry. Oh, you made some money? Sorry. It's like that's what that concept is, and then for Guts to keep growing as a character. I mean, right now it's like not in hiatus. I think like they have like long pauses now with the chapters because obviously the author passed away. Man, it's just I think that Guts, in my opinion, just fits all these. Man, I mean, he's flawed. He has insane character development. Has a lot of motivation. He's unique in the way he presents himself. His design's super sick. His backstory is like. It's so traumatic, but it covers so many different angles that you literally can relate to it. You can relate to it in some way, shape, or form. It's consistent, but it's still surprising at times. And then obviously it's extremely relatable. It's like the whole thing is suffering and pain, which is what every human being experiences. And then his relationships with people, even though they might seem very like surface level because of how distant he is, they go into that and they really show that he's changed over time as the years go on. So it's like. Overall, I think he fits. In my opinion, he's like my favorite character.
Gotcha.
So, who's your favorite character?
Thorfinn.
Again, that's
easy. Yeah,
that's easy. That's easily hand down. That's what I'm saying. I can name it at the top of my head, but with and for this year, I would say Furin would be my favorite character.
Yeah, Furin was for sure.
I think she just checked off a lot more on the list. But like I said,
I enjoy Okurin too, though.
Okurin was also good as well. But I did think Furin had more. She had more time in the oven. I think she just had way more time in the oven. And I think Okurin couldn't catch up to that level. But again, that's my opinion. So, all right, guys. So to wrap things up, I do want to talk about One Piece because again we haven't talked about the last 2 episodes. I won't lie, it got kind of dark, bro. I won't lie to you, okay? Like,
yeah, it's good.
So
it's good though.
Again, so the episode, I think it was 11:32, maybe. I think it was 11:32.
Something, yeah.
It was showing basically like Genie and Kuma just doing their thing, grown ass adults, working for the rebellion, and they're just taking names, kicking ass, taking names, and they're just contributing to society's growth. And then something unexpected happens. Genie gets captured, right? And then she gets taken by celestial dragons,
which may not have happened if he ended up marrying her.
That's what I'm saying. Which that's good.
Which sucks.
For the first time, though, I mean, I don't think it's the first time, but like basically, Ginny got captured, and they were trying to figure out where she is. Kuma's losing his fucking mind, and then she's like, the next scene you see of her is that she's on a boat, and she's like coughing up blood or whatever, and then you find out that Genie has a kid.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I won't lie. That I assume that means that she was violated, right? Like, correct, right? I'm fairly certain.
In some way, shape, or form. So even if she like consented, it was probably just because she was trying to protect herself.
Yeah.
Just do whatever.
Which is like crazy because I haven't seen that happen in One Piece where Oda has that ever happened? Have you seen a scene like that where it was like got to that point? Because I don't see her falling in love with Celestial Dragon when she clearly was in love with Kuma.
Yeah, definitely no love there for sure.
So there was definitely some violating happening.
But I'm just trying to. I don't think something like that's happened.
Because she was taken as a prisoner because the Celestial Dragon found her attractive.
Yes. Yeah.
So clearly, I'm just saying it's kind of implied.
Yeah, I mean, I thought part that was kind of crazy that hasn't been, I guess, brought up yet in the show is that Bonnie is part Celestial Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. That holds a lot of weight to it.
That's crazy. But it's like, so again, she was, that horrible thing happened with her, and then Kuma, and then she's like, not even gonna see Kuma. She's dead. So she's saying, oh, okay, like, what did she say to him? Like, protect this child or whatever. Because remember, the whole thing was like, they couldn't even have kids together. Like, they couldn't have kids together. Because he didn't want to have one of them suffer because of the Buccaneer bloodline.
Yeah, that's just why he didn't want to marry her.
Yeah, marry her, exactly.
He saw what happened to his parents.
Yeah, he saw what happened to his parents. And then he ends up, she ends up getting back to the church in their hometown, and then she's dead. But then the baby's there, and that's Bonnie. And then he takes over Bonnie, and then he becomes like a father figure to her. And then apparently she has some sort of like disease that...
grow with like crystals or something. Yeah.
He has like crystals that are growing and whatever. And then like the last 2 episodes really just kind of showed off their relationship and how they worked with each other and how basically Bonnie was isolated from the world because if she's exposed to sunlight, that will, quickly evolve and then kill her eventually. And so then eventually his whole thing was he has to go find
a cure.
He ends up leaving and then he ends up finding Dr. Vegapunk. And then he makes
She also did eat the fruit, which they didn't allow.
Oh, yes.
They didn't expand upon that yet, which I hope they do because
I didn't even see that.
She just had the shit one day.
Yeah, I know. It didn't make any sense. But then she ate the fruit. By the way, before I get into what happened towards the end, dude, Kuma's busted. Like,
Yeah,
no, I won't lie to you.
He's dirty.
He's blown up castles, blown up pirate ships, like marine ships.
I never really
across the board with one hand.
I never really understood the scale of that fruit.
I don't understand its power. Like, does it like because it has like multiple powers? I feel like it's like it's like a sound thing. Like it blows up anything.
It's like a seismic,
like a
shock
explosion.
wave. It's like a shock wave.
Yeah, it's like a shock wave. But then he can absorb people's pain. That's like the coolest shit too. That's what I'm saying. These abilities are so weird because he can absorb people's pain and then he could take their pain. That was crazy, right?
If he takes away their pain, he has to be the one to.
No, someone has to absorb it.
Someone has to absorb it, which is why Zoro did the thing.
Yeah. So Zoro. By the way, Zoro's so hard, bro. That because Buccaneers are pretty sturdy guys. So imagine like you have him doing that with the whole village, taking away their pain, and then doing it, and he's like dying, literally touching it. Imagine Zoro, not a Buccaneer bloodline, just taking all of like Luffy's pain, everyone's pain, and still standing. By the way, no, but literally, Kuma was on his bed in bandages. You had Zoro just standing, eyes wide open. Dude, I love Zoro. He's such a good character. It's crazy, bro.
Thinking about it now, that's
right. Like, think about it, like
tough. Because these are like old people. Like these are like years of aches. You know, like
but they're also being punished by at the time they were being punished by the civilian, the guards
and that too. But like him taking that in, like totality or whatever the word is, just like all at once, like consistently, and just being fine and seeing Zoro do that with Luffy, that was big stuff. That was a big thing. And so then. The episode wrapped up by basically he found Vegapunk, and he made a deal with Vegapunk that he would have him clone him for experimentation purposes, and that he would save Bonnie. Now my thing is because I assume they're going to get into it in the next few episodes here. Why exactly is Kuma? Because all the instances of Kuma that we've seen after this. No, sorry. Yeah, after that moment, but in the earlier episodes of the earlier seasons of One Piece, like when they first met him, right? When they fought him that one time, and they all lost and Zoro took up the pain. Why does Kuma look so serious? Like he's very like this version of Kuma seems to be very happy, delighted, and like just more positive. Why is it that he really became a warlord? And why is it that he looks so serious and very like? Anymore.
Huh?
I don't think he had Bonnie anymore.
Could that have been the case?
Maybe because I'm sure she either ventured off or went against her will. Because I don't know if you remember seeing this, but he at the beginning, remember how he carried around that Bible? That was the same book that they were reading in that episode or the episode prior. So like maybe it was like his like something that belonged to her or whatever, like a memory that they shared together.
I'm just still confused by it because again
But it's like obviously he's not going to be showing a happy face to random ass pirates.
I know. I just feel like I don't know. But also, I'm trying to figure out why he became a warlord. Maybe it had something to do with Bonnie. But then also too, I'm thinking about it now. It doesn't really.
Well, if you're a warlord, weren't you exempt from like persecution?
Maybe it could be the case. Well, actually,
as long as you did like
took their orders,
government work. So maybe like his affiliation with Vegapunk was
that connection
involved
there,
since Vegapunk worked for the government.
And also, because in the last scene we saw of him, I'm confused. Is he a cyborg? He's half cyborg now.
Definitely a cyborg. Yeah.
So now here's my question. Right? Is like, what was the heart? You know that one episode where Bonnie's like looking around Vegapunk's lag?
Yeah,
Vegapunk's lag. That's a lab.
Yeah.
And I found the heart in that big ass container.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that Kuma's heart? Like, is that like his life force? Is that him?
Maybe that was so they could produce more.
Because I was thinking,
because aren't the Seraphim also related to him in a way too, or is that just a completely different?
I think it's different. Well, my thing about Kuma is I thought that heart was like because Kuma doesn't even seem like himself, and even if he was half cyborg, he doesn't have a mental. He doesn't like what's his mentality? He doesn't even seem human anymore. So I was thinking
just because he hasn't been speaking. Because it seems like he's on like a mission, like he's like trying to go somewhere.
But what I'm thinking happened is he, like that heart at Vegapunk's lab is like, that's like him. That's like his life force. That's like who he is. Maybe he like opted in to become a cyborg for some reason. Maybe they forced him to become a cyborg, or else they would threaten him with something. I don't know. Like, it just seems like something. It's not. Things are not adding up right now. It doesn't. I'm trying to figure this shit out, and we don't know. We're gonna find out next few episodes.
It may very well have all been just to protect Bonnie in the long run, because he did say at the end of the last step, well, not last episode, but like the one where he meets Vegapunk, that even if he was like a demon, as long as it was to save Bonnie, he would have done whatever it needed to be done
maybe that would
to protect her.
Maybe that
so
implies
maybe
it.
there were people going after her for some reason. Maybe there were people who knew that she was a celestial dragon, or like knew of her background, or wanted something to do with her, to where he then made this sacrifice that then stopped them from doing such and such. I don't know.
Dude, I don't know, man. And I mean, it basically was wrapped up by him accepting Vegapunk's terms, and then I mean, we'll see what happens in the next episode and continuing. But I was really shocked that they got pretty dark with that though, because the whole Genie, what happened with her, the kid, she passes, now the kid has it, and then we get to see really what Kuma's really made of.
Yeah,
dude, I don't even.
Where he just annihilated that fleet. That was dirty.
All these episodes and shit, I just don't understand how the power scaling is gonna work in these last few fights, man. Like, I just don't see it being anything but fucking just like world destroying power that like everyone's about to yield in the last few fights of this series. Or am I wrong? Like, you think it's gonna be?
Why are you saying that?
Yeah, because I'm looking at like I get reminded. Like, I look at Kuma. I look at like all these other characters that it's like they touch upon them about their abilities here and there, but it's like these dudes going all out. Imagine how catastrophic that is.
Yeah, but like niggas also cancel each other out too. Like,
yeah, people cancel each other out too. Yeah, but it's like I can't even imagine how the last fight's going to be in this story. And frankly, I'm excited to see what happens with the whole Kuma thing, because I think the Kuma thing is going to reveal a lot of information. Man, I keep forgetting that they're literally on the island still. For Egghead, they're still on that island, and they showed us the one of the elders popped up, and we've just been getting backstory since. But like, dude, this is.
I think it just keeps picking up, honestly.
Dude, it has to be, bro. Like, what else could they possibly deliver to us? I don't know.
Which is good.
I don't know, but I mean, we're definitely gonna keep up with it. Make sure we keep you guys posted, and honestly, guys, keep leaving us comments, keep leaving us your suggestions for shows we should watch, and also topics that we should talk about, because I'm definitely reading those. All right, well, either way, appreciate you guys for watching here. Leave a comment, subscribe, leave a like. And, of course, we'll see you guys in the next one.
See y'all boys in the next one.
All right, take care.
Senpai says.